How are you?
I'm excited.
What a rose queen. I love it.
I've been filming content for ads, so I thought this is my day with Arnolda. Oh, like honestly, I was in the school playground this morning with rollers and
Oh,
roll
yeah, all of us, all of it, no?
all of it.
All
Sometimes more is more. One
of
of my daughters was really embarrassed, and the other one thought it was amazing.
it. Oh, I love that. Do you have any questions for me, Frankie, before we begin, like officially as me introducing you and everything?
I am so happy just to roll with it and let our conversation flow.
All right. All right. So let's go. So today on Purpose 2.0, on our series of talks, we open a conversation with this beautiful woman who's not only leading a movement, she is reshaping the very architecture of leadership, abundance, and purpose. And Frankie Sekhon is the founder of Self-Sourced, this visionary guide for heart-led CEOs who are building soul-rich empires. And they are building in that way that their businesses and legacies are rooted in truth, in love, and inner alignment, and where success does not require sacrifice. So Frankie's work is revolution wrapped in tenderness, in my point of view. She teaches leaders how to rise without burning out, how to expand without abandoning ourselves, and how to create wealth that is sourced from the deepest parts of who we are, uniquely of who we are. So the self-sourced CEO is not just a framework, it's not just an intellectual concept, it is a remembrance, a return to the inner well source of wisdom, emotional integrity, energetic mastery that allows us all of these things that allow us to thrive in business and so much more in all of areas of life, in intimacy and creativity. And what I love about Frankie is her ability to bring both this power and softness and the structure and soul and this vision in the embodiment of a woman. She's a mirror for me that like for a new world leadership and one where your purpose becomes your abundance, where the way you love becomes the way you lead. It's an honor for me and a joy to welcome you, Frankie, into this space and to our listeners. So just let's take a breath
Mm.
together and just have this conversation, activate whatever it has to activate in every each of us. Welcome, Frankie.
Oh my goodness, my darling Anoda, thank you so much for that gorgeous, gorgeous intro. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to co-create with you. I love you so much, and your leadership blows me away. And I feel honored to walk shoulder to shoulder with you in all of the ways. And I'm so proud of what we have created together and what we have self-sourced together. And I'm so excited to get into whatever's going to come through in this conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love that this whole work and this whole container of what you're building involves the woman that we
Yeah.
are
Mhm.
and the woman who exists before even the work. And can you tell me like a little bit who is Frankie, the woman before the mission, before the brand, before the clients? Just whatever comes through.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually love that word women. I actually call our body, the female body, the women, because it's not just the body to me, it's the women. And I know that you and I have talked about many times on this journey of personal development and spiritual growth. There's been moments when many of us, and I've definitely been at this point where I've been so tapped into the spiritual world and the realms and the energetics. And I know a lot of healers can relate that we almost bypass the human, bypass the women, bypass the human experience. And as I've gone deeper and deeper into this work, my truth now, and I came to the realization is being the woman is so sacred, being able to embody our truth from the soul as the woman and be so grounded and so rooted in the earth, living the life out of life as the woman is sacred. We're here, we've chosen to come in through our soul into the woman in this incarnation for a reason. I passionately believe it's a responsibility to live the most beautiful life, the most authentic life in life, right? And all the messiness, the realness, the highs and the lows, the days where we feel alive and thriving, and then by mid-morning we feel sad and crying, like in all of the ways, in the full authentic expression. How deep can we go with it? So me, as a woman, my truth as a woman before the mission, before the work, I am a curious individual. I've always been a curious individual, and I am passionate about the journey of self-growth, self-discovery, and evolution. And I feel like the greatest part of me and as a woman is to be able to embody that as the full expression. How deep can I sit in my authenticity? How pure, and that's not being perfect. It's really not, and there's a big difference between that. I'm not trying to be perfect, but I am in that quest to sit in deeper and deeper and deeper authenticity as a mum, as a woman. How deep can I sit in my pleasure? How deep can I sit in my receiving? How deep can I sit in my enjoyment? How deep can I sit in my discomfort? How
Mm.
deep, how much pressure can I hold? And as the woman, the one who embodies the soul's truth, there's so many layers to that. So I would say as a person, as a woman, it's at my core essence of being as a woman, it's the depth of authenticity. And that journey never stops because there's always layers to it. In my human experience, I love to have fun. I feel like in this world, in leadership and in spirituality, I know we've talked about this a lot, we get so serious. And there's been a point in the journey that I got so serious about it, and probably a bit of a spiritual ego, to be honest. And it's BS. We're here to have fun. We're here to, I believe, enjoy life. I love cartwheeling on the beach and in the fields with my daughters. I love dancing and doing high kicks in the kitchen. Like, I'll have the ice cream. I'll do the things that we get to do to enjoy the pleasures and the simplicities and the fun. And I love the big life celebrations and the travel and the expansion and the experiences. For me, like the richness in life is the small things. And I always say the small things will forever be my big things. Like the gorgeous tea, the snuggle with my kids, the coffee, the food, like the pleasure that we get to enjoy with that. It's always in the small things. And as the woman, that's how I experience that.
Right.
Hmm.
That's so beautiful. And what do you think, Frankie, like for the earliest memory of your feminine power or the earliest memory of power of self, in whichever way that you remember right now, that just comes through you to you, and this is what I remember now, and it was power at the time. Did you realize it was power at the time? And because that never took away your curiosity, you still kept on being curious about all.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we have masculine and we have feminine power. Going right back, I remember being really vivacious, and that would have been my natural feminine energy as a child. And I'm talking about 4 or 5. And this was just pure, unfiltered vivaciousness. And I would like dance and sing. And I've got a loud laugh, I've got quite a loud voice at times. And I would be like just in my feminine, expressive energy, unfiltered, unaware of judgment at that point until I became aware. And I became aware of the judgment, and I heard people laughing, and I felt myself being judged, and then I became aware that I was louder than most people. So I learned to water that down, and I learned to mask that. I was really tapped into my feminine power as a child, and I've reflected on this, and I can clearly see that I embodied that magnetism. But when I felt judgment from others, I started to water that down. And I think even as women, a lot of us can relate to that. So it was interesting to look back and see that I experienced that at quite a young age. And as a child, I really started to develop a way of being that was really leading more from my masculine than from my feminine. I remember at 13 years old, like writing out, I'm showing my age now, but writing, physically handwriting 50 CVs and taking them all into town, going round all the businesses. My parents had been struggling in their business, so I wanted to become financially free at 13. And I went to work and I got a job and I started supporting myself financially to an extent at that age. And, I've been working ever since, and I was very much in the hustle in my masculine all the way through as a teenager, supporting myself through university, and then going into work in corporate, very much again in my masculine energy and my masculine leadership, burning out, overworking, like really not honoring, really not paying attention to my feminine, like working hard, playing hard, very much in that mentality. And with that, I became quite disconnected to my feminine. Life was fast paced, and on the outside, it looked like I had it together. It looked like I'd created a successful life, and there was a career that took me out to Dubai. I'd climbed that corporate ladder. So on the surface, it was tick, 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 tick. Money was good. I was newly married. It was a great position to have. But on the inside, I was really living with a level of stress and anxiety that was unhealthy. I had shut off so many parts of myself and spent so many years masking. There was such a build up of trauma for various reasons that something had to give. And it was in 2017, 2016, I walked away from that world without a plan. And that was my feminine that told me to do it. It was the feminine nudge, it was the intuition, it was the part of me that thought, I don't know why, but I know that I can't go forward. And I was pregnant with my first daughter, Sienna, and that was part of this awakening. That was a real catalyst because I walked away from that world. I walked away from a tax-free six-figure salary with no financial backing, no backup plan, but simply because my intuition told me, my feminine told me. And it was a journey. It wasn't like an overnight clarity thing. It was a journey, and that's where the curiosity, I had more space again, and that's where the curiosity came alive. I really started leaning more and more into personal development. I really started this self-inquiry journey again and awakening these different parts and healing. And I set up my business during the pandemic again as a marketing coach initially, and I quickly retrained as a healer, and that just awoken the feminine within. I closed down all the other parts of my business and I started to lean into this work. And it was through retraining as a healer that I remembered, it wasn't discovered, I remembered the way that we are supposed to lead. There's so much more to us than our mind and our body. And it was through my own work that I really started to lean into the heart work, going beyond our mind and body to tap into our soul's truth. And when we bring that back in to our body as the woman, right? This is where we can access that deep level of soul wisdom, soul truth, intuition from God, the universe, Mother Nature, and make choices as the woman. And when we can embody that, like truly, truly, truly embody that in full expression of who we are as the woman, so sink in the experience of the soul as the woman, it was never supposed to be hard. So I had created and I was carrying so, so, so many conditions and belief patterns of struggle, of strife, of being the warrior. But in dismantling them, I could come back to the truth. And the truth is the experience of being the woman. And when I embody that, things move in a different way. I experience life and business leadership in flow. I have all the answers within and I can access that. And
Hmm.
my magnetism is different. Like things just move in a completely different way. And that's been tapped in to the power of being a woman.
Hmm. When I'm listening to this, I hear lots of love for self, and of course we have to have lots of love. We do have lots of love working in this type of work for others because there's no way, right? To there's no other way. This just love becomes as a like a leadership teacher because of someone that chooses to lead themselves first. Would you say like sometimes I feel like we so easily forget a certain area of life that's asking attention, and once that is attended, that everything else moves. So in that way, like what role, and for someone who's listening for the first time, maybe you could say that how what role does your also body and your heart play in your decision making or creativity, visibility, and applying it to every little thing, bringing it back like is this nutritional for me, or is this the strategy of the heart is the strategy of my business, like in every single decision, how or what was like the last decision, so people could have a sensation of how you apply it practically to someone hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think just taking a step back and really looking at this approach, right? It's frequency first, always frequency first. So going beyond our mind in our body and tapping into our own frequency. Our frequency is our energetic field. It's the part of us that's connected to the quantum field. Okay. And when we're frequency first, that is when we're tapping into our soul's truth. That is when we can tap into different versions of us, future versions of us in the quantum field. That is when we can tap into future realities of our business, of our purpose, of our impact, of our life, of our love life, family life in the quantum field. So my approach is very much a frequency first, okay? Because at the core, we're frequency. So we go back into who we are at the core and we access those energies, okay? And we access those energies with intention. Okay, so for example, if I'm going in to do some work around a future vision in my business, I'll go in and I'll access that vision in the quantum field. I'll unpack the clarity. I'll feel it. I'll feel, see, sense that in the quantum field. I will tap into the reality of me who is in that reality in the quantum field. Okay, so frequency first. Then it's important for me to bring that into the body. Okay, although there's step one, step two, step three, they're all equally important. None is higher or better than the other. They're all part of the formula. Then it's important for me to bring that frequency of what I'm manifesting into my body. in my body of the woman, how can I hold that frequency of the next level? It's a higher conscious frequency to where I was yesterday. So today, how can I hold that in the body? And this is where the rituals are so important, whether it's biohacking, whether it's changing our nutrition, whether it's getting more sleep, whether it's certain meditations. Okay, it's about how can I hold this frequency in the body, because when our body cannot hold the frequency, then we revert into older ways, and that's when we see people doing the energy work, but they can't hold it. It requires our mind to change. It requires our mind to change and be an assumption and the belief of this new reality. It requires our physical grid to be able to hold it, our cells to hold it, our hormones to hold it. We want this to be a full-bodied integration. Okay? In that process of integration, things can come up, emotions can come up, triggers can come up, it is as well as all the elevation, things can come up which show up as resistance in the body to holding it because it's unknown. So sometimes we get that resistance. Now, what we often do in the human experience is with that resistance, it becomes fearful, or we get scared of it, or we try and squash it, or we make it wrong. And that's really never the way, because any resistance, whether it's fear, worry, resentment, it's always a gift that it's coming up, right? It's simply intelligence that we get to look at to bring ourselves into deeper alignment. So, for example, if I have fear
Mhm.
that's coming up about a future vision, like fear is a really real energy, and it's simply resistance. So I would encourage anyone to get curious about that. We first welcome it. Thank you, it's here. What is it telling me? If it's feedback, if it's intelligence, which it is, what is it telling me? Ah, right, okay. It's telling me that I don't believe that is possible. Is it telling me that I believe it's good for others but not good for me? Ah, right, okay. Then it becomes my job to disprove that to myself because it's coming up, because it's ready to be cleared out. Okay, so I nurture that, I work on it, I clear it out, I love into it, I don't make it wrong. Okay,
Hmm.
until my body is in alignment with the frequency,
Okay.
with the embodiment, and then comes the action. So, with this work, the energy and embodiment is sometimes enough, and there's always action. Okay, so whatever the decisions that are coming through, whatever the pieces that I'm manifesting, I'll always tune into the aligned action piece, whether it's to have a conversation, set up a meeting, run a strategy, or if it's on the personal level, plan something with my family or my partner to really calibrate into that new level. So, to answer your question, what part does the heart and the body play in making decisions? It's everything. All of your highest answers are within. Always, always, always. All of our highest answers we can access through the heart. Our heart is the portal of connection to our soul and to source. Your heart is our guru, right? So we can go within and access those answers. Then it becomes our job to hold that alignment in our body and then just do what we know we've got to do. It becomes, can I take that leap? Can I hold the discomfort? Can I show up in that way? And how can I show up in full? What does showing up in full become? And it becomes a process that is never ending, that we simply get to refine and optimize.
Hmm. All right. It's a huge piece when you said the frequency first and everything. Um, what's coming through about what you said, the fear. So you're not wasting time. No, it allows us not to waste time to stay in the mind in the fear as long as it would consume us. We literally accept it, we bring it home, we take care of it, And we come back to the heart always because the heart is never wrong in the action taking because we are leading ourselves. No, I'm just very simply, very simply trying to concise it for someone who's listening for the first time what it is, right?
Exactly. All of our answers can be accessed through the heart. We're born with all of our answers through the heart. That's where we access the answers of our soul, and
Hmm.
we can hold that in our body and simply do the things that we know that we need to do to bring that into reality.
It's crazy and it's like obvious, but at the same time, it's like direct through motion, through collapsing everything that we feel like can be a loop of survival ways of dealing with the world. And of course, then it just goes away naturally, the survival ways, because if we see that's the action that it's calling me to go and speak, that would never come to my mind, that it's so illogical, but so miraculous as I step into it and do it anyway, I feel alive, right? That's the most alive, that's the most vibrant that we are. And that means the most healthy, which is crazy. That why I mean like using this word crazy, because we look for so many ways, and health is still also a source of the heart. I'm
Exactly.
just reflecting out loud here with you.
Exactly, exactly. So when if we think about it right, the truth of our matter is light. When we go below everything else, we are primarily made of light. When we go below the cells and it's particles of light.
Hmm.
Therefore, the body is a reflection of our light, our energy. So when we have disease in the body, whether it's a health issue, whether it's worry, whether it's body pain, this is where the first point of call, when it's frequency first, and we go in and tap into like the solution in the energy field and bring that back in. When our body receives that, it will change the state of our body. You know, I've worked with several clients and I don't focus on health. I focus on business, money, personal power, personal development. But there has been so many occasions where as a byproduct of what we have been working on, the body completely changes. Okay, so I had one of the women that came to my summer retreat. Gorgeous, gorgeous women, like so gorgeous. She had been on her own out of a relationship for over 10 years. Okay, she had chosen to stay out of a relationship because her previous marriage, she was in, it was quite toxic. So she put up the walls, and her heart wanted a relationship, her heart wanted a soulmate, but her women had put up the walls. Okay, and she had also gained weight. Okay, she'd gained more weight. She was absolutely gorgeous, but she did not feel comfortable. We did the energy work and I opened up her capacity to receive in her sacral. Okay, and we did this quantum work that I'm talking about, and she accessed her future self with her hot soulmate, her life partner, and she accessed a different body shape. This woman messaged me like 3, 4 weeks later. She had met her soulmate, absolute soulmate, and she had released almost 2 stone in weight. That is around 17 kg. She's still with this guy months later. They're going from strength to strength, and she's in the best health and shape of her life. This is one story.
Hmm.
I had another client who she had polycystic, I can never say it properly, but polycystic ovaries.
Hmm.
Okay. And she had been told by her doctor she was attending like a specialist clinic and she was scheduled for an operation. She needed surgery. we had been working on her feminine energy. Again, high level leader, very inner masculine, very go, 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 shut off her feminine. So all we did was work on her feminine energy, activating her sacral. Those polycystic ovaries went away. She went to her next scan. They were gone, completely gone after 3 months of doing this energy work. That was a byproduct, but it actually physically changed in her body
Right.
through doing the physical change changed. And there's so many other healers that I know we both have so many like absolute magicians in our community who just specialize in this space. I don't specialize in this space, but it still happens a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's so important. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you also about whichever way, if you want to share in as much depth as you want to go into, how has your relationship to love, to your soulmate evolved and changed when you have been doing this work, when you've been leading others also, as you mentioned that your client also finding love, how did that sparkle ignite, activate something of how you see your relationship?
Yeah, definitely. And this is an area that's just, as you know, so close to my heart, and it's changed everything, absolutely everything. So Ravi and I have been together 12 years, married almost 10 years, and we've learned to really, really grow together. So with Ravi, I've always known that Ravi is my life soulmate. Like we are just obsessed with each other. We love each other so deeply. But honestly, it's not always been easy. Ravi's also been my biggest teacher, and I'm sure I've been his biggest teacher as well. Like I'm a Sagittarius, he is an Aries, so we're both like, woo.
Fire.
Yeah. So, like when we were so in our ego and when we hadn't done the work and we've very much been on our own journeys with it,
Mm.
but in earlier stages in our relationship, we would butt heads because we only had our lens and we both needed to be right and we couldn't see each other's perspective. And like we lived in depth and harmony, but we realized that when we had kids, we really hadn't learned to grow together. So we were like, it was like initiation by fire. So we had two under two babies, so blessed for our gorgeous babies. And we were living in Dubai, but we really, as much as we loved each other, we were really clashing, not in a fiery way, but there was a lot of internal stress, a lot of internal pain. I was getting triggered all the time. He was getting triggered all the time. My needs weren't met. His needs weren't met. And when I started on this personal development journey and meditating, like I experienced such a shift with it. And I used to try and get Ravi to do it. Like, just try it, just do it, just do this, just do that. And I mean, he's an alpha male. He doesn't want to be told what to do by his wife. And honestly, that would have triggered the little boy within him.
Yeah.
So I just intuitively knew just stop, just be on my journey. Be on my journey. Be the best that I can be. Be the woman who is a match for the type, for the next level of love that I desire, that I deserve, and that he deserves as well. And I always say my marriage changed when I stopped trying to change my marriage because when I was focused on this needs fixed, this needs fixed, this needs fixed. What am I manifesting? I'm manifesting a marriage that needs fixed. But when I'm focused on being my best and seeing my husband as his best and relating to him in that way, all of a sudden he responds to that.
Yeah.
If I just start being in a relationship that has deeper conversations, more passion, more adventure, that becomes the reality.
Hmm.
And it's kind of shifting, and we're taught to focus on the problem. We're taught to, we're not communicating enough, we're not doing this enough, we're not doing that enough. When actually, like, focus on the potential and focus on the solution and focus on being that, and you'll be surprised at how quickly things will change and calibrate to that. And it's always in our relationships where we see it happen in the quickest and the fastest way. It's not always the easiest process because the human will do the human. The human wants to be right. The human wants to bring up the past. The human wants to say, it's not my fault, it's your fault, but actually, what do I want? What is my ultimate, like, vision and desire for us? And I can definitely share that it's been a journey. There's been highs and lows, but what we have really, really, we're in the best place of our life, like the intimacy, the connection, being able to like fully trust and lean back as a woman. Like he is the one that grounds me, that coaches me, that he's like me to other people, but for me now.
Oh,
And that
that.
But we've grown into that. We've really, really grown into that because there would have been a time where I wouldn't have been open. I didn't tell him these things. I kept them guarded. I didn't share openly. So it's been something that we've very much grown into.
Hmm.
And as for me personally, I've learned to let go and lean back, and I've learned to trust, like fully, fully trust with a heart open
Hmm.
because I realized I was holding so much. I didn't trust him to be completely vulnerable. That was a me thing, not a him thing.
Yeah.
I didn't trust him to know what I was doing in the background with business and things like that. That was a me thing, not a him thing. So it's been a journey, but it is about being in the heart. And also, when we're in the heart, we see other people in their heart as well. Even if there's a bit of friction in the 3D, we
Hmm.
can see other people in their heart, which means that when we're seeing them in their heart, we're seeing their higher self and their soul, and they shift into that. So in my personal relationship, it's changed everything, everything,
Right.
really.
I love that conversation before that we had that you said what you just said now also like focus on the highest potential of a connection, highest potential of a relationship, what you want. And
Mhm.
that also like lets go of so much noise of how things should go. And I wanted to ask like when you said like leaning into your heart as a woman to receive, I want to like break here certain stereotypes or whichever archetypes that some of us listening to this might have like then a woman does not propose anything. If it some heart aligned action, some inspiration comes to you to to spend time with your partner, do you follow it or you just, wait? I am here. I'm the woman. I'm gonna receive. I'm not gonna move a thing. So I wanna like reimagine this. Sometimes like there's a misconcept of what is a feminine energy. Like I'm not doing anything here. I'm just receiving.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think there is a misconception that feminine energy is purely passive, and for me, it's a not. Feminine energy is all of who I am, and I get to change my mind, and I get to express my desires. And when I really am sitting in my full feminine, I'm the one who can show up and be the boss in my business and lead the teams and support clients and do all the things that I'm doing in my business. But Ravi's the one that I can go into and I can just feel that big exhale. And it's like an unsaid dynamic. He will just take charge. He will just lead. He will just like sort out the travel, sort out the logistics, sort out so many things. He will be two t steps ahead
Mm,
and organizing things. And I have learned to receive that and not try and control and not check because he's got it. As it happens in our relationship, he's better at that than me. I'm a bit at that stuff. So, like, I'm happy to let him lead. And also, in the day to day, he will lead, but I'm active in that receiving. So, I get to respond in that receiving. So, if we're planning to do something, it's not just a passive thing. I get to say, oh, can we go to that restaurant rather than that restaurant? So it's active receivership,
mm.
okay, rather than completely passive.
Yeah, and that's what you're saying, like from that's your natural dynamic that you landed into, and it's ever evolving, and nobody should ever copy paste anyone's dynamic to their relationship. It's just
Yeah.
landing in our natural dynamic of the connection with
Yeah.
another.
And it's taken to learn to be a good receiver. And this is where when you're tuned into the feedback that comes through in the body. So Ravi's always been like amazing at booking things and planning surprises and things like that, like trips away experiences. And we all have a limit that feels too much. We all have a limit on our capacity to receive, and we get to stretch that capacity to receive. So I remember when Ravi would book a dinner or a night away, like it would hit my nervous system and my body because there was parts of me that felt unworthy of receiving because I wasn't I wasn't a great receiver. There's part of me that felt I had to give something. How can I just receive that? How can he just book that and take me away? How can I just receive that gift? I haven't done anything for him, right? And it's where I got to really build that part within and recreate, reimagine that experience of receiving so that it became pleasurable. And it's in the remembrance that if someone, whether it's your partner or whether it's your friend or your family member, if they are giving you something,
Mhm.
they give you something to receive your pleasure. Like we give a gift to someone, we book a surprise for someone because we can't wait to see the look in their face, right?
Yeah.
We can't wait to see them excited. We want them to have it. We get so much pleasure from seeing them enjoy it. So when someone's like, no, 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 but I realized that I was blocking receiving all the time. Oh, don't do that for me. You didn't need to do that. So it's like where, and we do it everywhere, the compliment, the gift, the offer for someone to do something for us. And I was doing it a lot in my relationship.
Mm.
Okay. So it's like how can I just be open to receiving? And it's everywhere. Like surprise sex. Are we open to receive surprise sex? I wasn't, right? I'm like, oh, as long as I know it's coming, but it's
That's huge. Yeah.
But it was like if it was a surprise, I would be like, oh, I don't know if no, no.
Yeah.
But opening up all of this,
Yeah.
because if we're closed to a surprise sex, then we're also going to be closed to
Any surprises?
surprise money,
Any?
surprise
Yeah.
everything, because how we are somewhere is how we are everywhere. So in our closest, most intimate relationship, like, because you don't want to be exploring how you receive everywhere, but it will show up in our closest, most intimate relationship. And it's where am I rejecting, receiving?
That's beautiful. I love that. so much what we just spoke. And as this conversation is so unfiltered, untethered, whatever questions arise between the connection right here and now, I want to ask if you want to share what's next. What are the edges or the pressure? Let's reimagine the pressure. What are you holding, and what's next for Frankie?
Yeah, so in the last couple of months, I would say that I've been holding the greatest amount of pressure that I've ever held. Okay. And I feel like I've been training for the Olympics when it comes to holding pressure. And do you know what, though? It's been a type of pressure that I've been like welcoming it. In the past, holding a level of pressure would have been stressful, and it's not because I'm excited for the person that I'm becoming. We're in the process of moving our family out to Dubai, setting up businesses in Dubai, expanding the business, growing the business, and renovating our house, all of the things. So there's been a lot more pressure around it all. There's been different financial pressures, business pressures, legal pressures, house pressures, government pressures, and I'm just like, let's go.
Mm.
Let's go. So I would say my experience of holding pressure has changed. It doesn't necessarily feel stressful anymore because I know that I'm being crafted into a higher consciousness, into greater leadership, and I'm sharpening my tools and sharpening my skill sets. And what I would also love to say, people always think it's the masculine that holds the pressure, but it's not. It's our feminine within that holds the pressure. Our feminine within is the strongest part of us. Okay, it's the part of us that trusts without knowing. It's the part of us that's unwavered in the storm. It's the part of us that's connected to God. And it's in being able to hold that connection that we can hold pressure with greater and greater ease, which has been so expansive.
Wow. 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 I feel like also like what's coming through as a container also for the listeners to address, because at any moment of holding this pressure, the mind can come in and say and justify, this is not the path for me, I give up. That's the reimagining, also the surrender. What is an actual surrender? Because it's not giving up. It's at what point do we feel that we can check in and we're not going against the current of life, against the will of, even if we do believe in a higher power, against that? And that's not how it's supposed to happen, or all the potential basically exists and we choose the potential that is the highest for us. What do you believe in that
Hmm.
sense, that sometimes people just give up careers even because something is stretching, they didn't know how to stretch that limit of capacity to receive.
Yeah. And I've definitely given up in the past because I didn't know how to hold the pressure or stretch that limit. I didn't even know that that was a thing. I just thought, all right, it's not working. This isn't for me now. But actually, what's real for me now is the mind will do what the mind will do. The mind will say it's not working. The mind will say it's not going to work. The mind will tell us to stop. But I know that that's just my mind, and it's through this practice of tapping into my soul's truth, and it's not a one-time thing. It's doing that every single day, really being in what I call my soul gym every day, where I'm connecting into my vision, the vision to expand
Mhm.
self-source to support hundreds and hundreds and thousands
Thousands.
of heart, yeah, of CEOs around the world, visionaries, mystics, disruptors, to get out their head and into their heart and really create their business and thrive in life through the heart, through self-sourced, okay? So I'm tapping into that on a daily basis. If I wasn't, it would be easier to be derailed. But when we tap into that on a daily basis, every single day, I'm tickling the particles of that in the quantum field. And what happens? Opportunities come in, things rearrange itself. My reticular activating system, part of my brain, is also always focused on it. So, at a subconscious level, it's working in overdrive to support me to bring it into life and make it happen as well. And when things come up in the mind, I have two choices. I can either tune in and just shift from problem into possibility and solution. And sometimes I can do that in a moment. And it's simply by tuning into the highest vibrational thought. Okay, what is the highest vibrational thought that I can align with? So if it's like, oh God, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, problem, my highest vibrational thought will be, so right now I can tune into, I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but I can trust me to continue until it does. And if I continue until it does, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of it when, and it's inevitable. Okay, I might not be able to say it's going to happen next month, next year, but I can coach myself into the thought that it is inevitable. Okay, so I've locked in that highest vibrational thought.
Yeah.
Or it might require deeper work. If it's a memory that's held in my body, a really like trigger that is alive, it might require the work that we talked about earlier on, like exploring that feedback, but essentially bringing ourselves back into alignment. So it's a process of being connected to our truth and connected to our vision, which is alive. And we're in constant co-creation with that, and it will change and shift and change and shift. And it's about being in that flow. Um, a bit like the surrender experiment, right?
Yeah.
We're in that flow of life. It's being in that flow with life.
Yes. I feel like what I said before, like the flow also has to be, as surrender has to be also reimagined, right? Because it's not giving up, it's trust, building trust, what you're speaking about. And what's coming through, like children, education of children, for me, like it comes through in that sense that we are never taught to have a dialogue with that self and to build that muscle to have a dialogue with ourselves as
Yeah.
children. Has anything changed, like how you approach also raising your girls and how you approach that? Do you encourage that they build that muscle also?
Absolutely. I think it's so, so important. As you said, we were never taught that. And I truly believe that it's our generation that is reimagining that for the next generation. We are the ones that are going first in so many ways. And part of that is igniting this conscious education. So with my daughters, the connecting into self and connecting into their soul's truth, it's became a way of being. So rather than me sitting down with the girls going, right, girls, this is how to meditate, I've just brought practices into their everyday life. Like
Hmm.
I do intention setting with them in the morning. So on our way to school, we connect into our hearts and ask them to let me know what kind of day that they're choosing to have. They
Hmm.
might not realize that they're doing it, but they're manifesting their day.
Hmm.
And then they're manifesting their day. And then in the evening, we talk about anything that was tough. So I can support them to work through anything that was tough. Maybe something was said in the playground, and then we work on their emotions at a body level. And then in the evening, we connect into their hearts and they do heart breath going to sleep so they connect in with their souls. So we do energy work at night, and I I learn so much from them. They wake up, right? They wake up laughing and giggling. And they're always laughing and giggling. The way that they embody joy at a core level, it made me realize how serious I got. So maybe they're teaching me more than I'm teaching them because they never forgot. So
I love that. I wanted to thank you once again so much deeply and profoundly for everything that came through talking to you today. And I wanted to ask this last question that I ask every person that comes on to Purpose 2.0, this podcast about embodying the purpose. If we take a moment here, like I remember several times you said that to me, but I want everyone to hear. But if we take a moment here in our hearts, like what would 100-year-old Frankie would have to tell all the listeners or say or not say, whatever wants to come through this timeless, let's say 100-year-old Frankie that the listeners can receive now.
I love this question. And I just feel that I want to make it really, really simple. Make your decision with a zero regrets policy and bring that into everything that you do. This is what my 100-year-old Frankie coaches me on. If I'm looking, do I make the move? What would zero regret policy do? Should I take the trip? What would zero regret policy do? Do I say sorry after an argument? What does the zero regrets? Of course, I say sorry. Of course. Just have a zero regrets policy.
Oh, I love that. I love that, Frankie, so much. Thank you for your precious time that you dedicated. Thank you so much. I'm excited for the unraveling of all this journey of what you're becoming, of what we are becoming. I love that. So deeply, deeply thankful one more time for your time and for you and what you do in this world.
Thank you so much, my darling. There's nowhere that I would have rather have been. This conversation, it's changed me, it's opened me up, sharing the space with you, and I'm excited. I'm excited for everything that's unfolding. I'm excited for this podcast and to also witness you and your rise into your next level and purpose 2.0. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Talk to
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Have a
Mwah.
wonderful, full of love Friday.
You too, my darling. Lots of love.
Lots of
Bye.
love. Bye.